Hey everyone! So I'm finally here in Chile, and boy, was it an ordeal to get here. Give you a little bit of background. Chile is very strict about their COVID policies. They have one of the highest vaccination rates in South America. The Ministry of Health set up a website where anyone visiting from outside the country has to send in their vaccination information, take pictures of it, and then someone actually validates it. So my trip was to leave on the 25th, and I had submitted that on the 2nd. Apparently, they rejected my vaccine validation. I thought that it was because my booster card I had submitted as a JPEG instead of a PDF document. I was going back and forth with the Chilean trip coordinator, who's been awesome, by the way, Alejandra Solano. I can't recommend her enough, of the Austral group. She's actually in the Ministry of Health's office. I'm trying to call US consulate, Chilean consulate, trying to get through to someone, and the only way to really get through to have someone expedite this validation, which I need in order to get into Chile. Well, then she messaged me a little while longer. The problem is not what I thought it was, the whole PDF JPEG thing. The problem is that on my booster card, Rite Aid had actually put down Chelsea's birthday instead of mine. I've presented that booster card a dozen times in the US and no one has caught it. And here, the Chilean Health Ministry is detail-oriented enough to have picked up on that. So what I do is I run to Rite Aid, I get them to write up a new card for me with all the correct information now, and then I come back, I take a picture of it, send it to Alejandra. She says, yeah, that'll be great. So submit it, I get it submitted, and a little bit later I get it approved in their system, and I get the validation form. There's another form I have to fill out called a C19 form, and then I'm good to go from a document perspective. So that's all great. So I get to the airport, plenty of time. I'm at the gate probably by 7 and just hanging out, and the time of our Philadelphia flight got pushed back. So it's pushed back now to where we would only have maybe 10 minutes of overlap to try and get out off the Philadelphia flight and onto the Chilean flight. We go to the person at the gate, they direct us to the customer service in that terminal, and so we head over there, and the first lady we talked to was so unhelpful. I wish I had her name and information to provide so I could provide receipts, but she just seemed so disinterested. She was on her phone, and then when we first got there, and then we explained the situation, she kind of looks at our boarding pass and she's like, yeah, I would still take it. It might get there earlier and things could improve. So with the first lady, she's also telling us that when we get to Miami, there might not be anyone there to help us. We could just show up, and since the time we would be getting there, they may not have anyone to help us. She's like, oh, you may have to call, or you may have to go on the website. And then we're asking about her about hotels. And she's like, again, they may do something, they may not, just providing us with very little information, very little guidance. And it's just very frustrating. I get on the flight to Miami. It gets there like it was supposed to, a half hour after my Chilean flight leaves. So I get off, and now I have to go to customer service. Well, the line for customer service is probably 35 people long. They have 2 people working there. And the person, to her credit, that I talked to was very helpful. She kind of pointed out that she put me on the next flight to Chile from Miami the next day, but the problem is I'm on standby. I don't even have a guaranteed seat. I'm on standby. The other problem is no hotel rooms. So I got nothing. It's 2:30 in the morning. So I asked the lady, where's the best place to sleep in the airport? And I basically go where she directed me to. It still sucked, honestly. And airports, they don't turn off the lights. Miami airports is freezing, and all the conveyor stuff is still operating. And so I found a spot. I have a track jacket that I'm trying to cover my entire body with to block out the light and to keep warm, and I'm shivering, and then I'm tossing and turning. I only slept for about 2 hours. And then, so I go through security, I get to the gate, I show them all my information. They mark on my boarding pass that it's all there. They said that they'll tell me in 15 minutes about whether or not I'm getting on the flight. But meanwhile, what I learned is that they oversold this flight. So there are 9 people right now who bought this flight but don't have seats. And on top of that, those 9 people have a higher priority than me, who missed my flight because I was following American Airlines' recommendation to go to Miami. So I did what they told me. I am on standby, and now my priority has decreased because they're overselling the flight. Like, they come back and they tell me after some time has passed, and my heart-wrenching moments of wondering if I'm going to get on this flight or lose another day on my trip. They tell me that, yeah, I'm going to be able to go on. So I am the second to last person on the flight. I finally get on the plane. It's a huge sigh of relief. And the flight wasn't that bad. A little bit of turbulence, nothing to complain about. Now when we get into Chile, so Chile is a pretty modern city or country, and Santiago, where I'm staying, is a pretty modern city. They have to give us a PCR test. So I get online for that. That's probably like 45 minutes, and I get the PCR test. We get here, and as part of Chileans' protocols, I have to stay in this hotel room until I get a negative result from that PCR test they gave me at the hotel. So today is basically shot, more or less. I'm hoping that I get the results back in time to go out to dinner with the group of classmates that I'm traveling with. Tonight's like the welcome dinner. But yeah, whole big ordeal. Probably the worst 24 to 48 hours of traveling in my life. I made it. Moral of the story, I'm here. I'm going to try and take you guys along, show you some of the stuff that we're doing. And so I'm excited to share this with you. I can try and imitate Chelsea, sort of like, okay, let's come along. But I can't promise anything. And so it'll just be me and you this time. Here we are at Plaza de Armas. Check out this cathedral. And then we got some traditional French architecture grafted onto some traditional Spanish architecture. And then lastly, some traditional Italian. They can all compromise. So this Chilean street was shut down for traffic, and the way you can tell is by these super secure barriers. Nothing's getting through that. How's a car gonna get through that? They can't. Can't escape bad American pizza. It's everywhere.
Mike, yeah, break it down. What's going on here?
It's a big knife.
Yeah?
And
What would you call that knife?
Oh, that's right here. It's
Okay.
Just a machete. That was like Michael Myers Friday the 13th. That's not a butter knife. That's not a butter knife.